Hello YouTube. So as you can see, it's turkey season, and a friend of mine on Instagram and YouTube kind of made a comment here recently, wanted to know if I've ever done a gear dump. Well, I haven't. I've done a lot of gear reviews, but I've never actually done a gear dump. So this is my attempt at the best I can anyway at a gear dump. Everything you're going to see here right now on this video isn't necessarily something I take with me every time, but the majority of it's stuff I take with me on every trip. So I'll start with the bigger things first of all. So this is the Primo's surround view stakeout blind. This is the two-sided hub blind. I tend to use this if I'm going to be hunting somewhere where there's very sparse cover. So where I shot my bird on opening morning, there's a lot of cattle in there, and they've grazed all the way over to the fence row, and there's not much cover in there for me to blend in with. So I take this along with me. I like this because it's so small, so light. I also use it for deer hunting on public land. It's a really good alternative to packing in a tree stand. You're a lot more mobile. It's a lot lighter weight, and you have a lot more flexibility with this. So I really like this. It's still no substitute for a full, real ground blind that I usually take my son with, or take my son to go hunt out of. But this is really good if you're hunting somewhere where there's sparse cover that you can't really blend in. So set that aside for now. Next, we'll go over the gun. So nothing special here, just a Remington 870. I actually bought the aftermarket stock and fore-end here on it and put that on. I also replaced it with a True Glow. Oh, I'm not sure which model it is, but it's a True Glow adjustable sight. So it's actually got the two fiber optic beads here, and it's got the fiber optic on the front. I've got this sighted in right at 40 yards. It's dead zero, dead nuts on at 40 yards. I also have my GoPro Sportsman's mount here on the front end of it, and I'm running on this anyway, since I don't normally use this camera for my majority of my hunts, but if I really just want to get a point of view of the shot itself, I'm using my old GoPro Hero Session 4 here. So it still records in 1080. I think it does 1080-30, maybe 1080-60, but you know, it doesn't have the stabilization or any of the bells and whistles that my Hero 7 Black here has. So go ahead and set the gun aside for now. Working my way around here. This that I'm wearing, actually, this is the Alps Outdoorz long spur pack. They make an Alps Outdoorz long spur deluxe, and it comes with a sit pad that's mated and fixed to the back end of it. This is actually just a lower end, cheap cushion sit pad. You know, it's not, I think it may have been $16, $18, something like that. I don't remember the name. I don't remember the name or the model of this. If I figure it out, I'll tag it in the comments or in the notes below. But I just take this and I just hook it on to my. There's a side pocket here, and it's got a pull loop on it, and I just hook it there and walk in with it when I get to where I'm going. I just unhook it, throw it down, and that's all there is to that. Nothing spectacular. This pack itself, though, I really love. It's modular, so each one of these pouches on the front can come off independently. Plus the fanny pack in the back can come off as well. So I can, you know, if I'm just going to run and gun hunt here on the farm, then a lot of times I'll take this rear fanny pack off and I'll just leave this front stuff off. I actually deer hunt with this too. I just take these two front pouches off, and I'll run with this because it's got the straps on it, so I can secure clothing and layers and stuff to this. So I'll do that. Working on through here, I've got my GoPro Hero 7 here, the black edition. I leave this connected here because it's a really good point of view when I'm walking through. A lot of my commentary as I'm walking through the woods, I can just talk. The mic's right here. You get really good audio because of it. Generally, your GoPro mics are not the best, so I get pretty good audio by doing that. in the front here, this actually is a pocket that's made for a box call. I don't carry a box call anymore. I feel like I can get a lot more flexibility out of slates and diaphragms. This is just a camouflage screen that I can throw up in front of my tripod whenever I'm running that. Obviously, I'm recording on it right now. It's just a basic, cheap $35 tripod that I got off Amazon as far as the tripod goes. The camera itself that I'm using is, I record with my Nikon D5200, and for the mic I have a Movo, I think it's called a VXR10 or a VX10. It's one of those two. It actually got a lot better reviews than a lot of the Rode microphones did, and it's cheaper. I think it was around $39, and doesn't use any battery, doesn't have a dedicated battery pack, anything like that. So that's what I'm recording on there. Working on down through here, I carry my beanie, face mask, gloves, that sort of stuff down in this pouch right here. It's got a dedicated spot in here for your strikers, so I carry 2 different strikers with me. Shells. I normally only carry 3 or maybe 4 shells with me. I'm not going to war. I don't need 12 shells when I go out on a turkey hunt. Now, you may laugh at this, but here's how I choose to do it. I actually carry 2 different shells with me. This is Federal TSS 3-inch 12-gauge 9-shot. I run this as my number 1 shot. So I put this in the chamber, and then I back it up with 3-inch heavy shot. This one's number 5s, so I'll back it up with the heavies. The reason for that is, normally my first shot's the one that counts the most whenever I'm turkey hunting. I try not to take stupid shots. I don't try to take an 80-yard shot with my TSS. The reason I shoot the TSS is because the pattern density at 40 yards, maybe 45 yards. I'm not going to try to crack off an 80-yard shot like a bunch of guys do, thinking that TSS is a long distance round. It's still too, I'm not going to say inconsistent, but I'm not going to take a questionable shot and potentially risk damaging or injuring a nearby turkey. So that's how I end up doing that anyway. First shot's TSS. If I have to, do a follow-up shot because I may have wounded the bird and it's starting to run, then I'll rack that heavy shot in there and try to pop a shot with that. So going over the next side here, I've got my 2 different slate calls. This is just a slate over walnut. This one's made by Tackett Creek Calls. I think they've gone out of business now. They were just up the road from me here in East Tennessee. I'm always trying to support local businesses and whatnot. So I tried to look them up the other day to get another call. They're not there. Unfortunately, it looks like they've kind of suffered from just a lack of business here lately, or possibly economical turn-down situations. This is an old Night and Hail glass hammer. This this was the first glass call I ever saw or used. It's very high pitched. I use this a lot of times for just locating if I'm not getting a lot of activity. When I'm actually working a bird, I'll usually switch over to the slate because it's a lot lower pitch, and I can do a little bit more things with it. Working on down here, I also carry an assortment of diaphragm calls. I prefer Woodhaven diaphragm calls. I have 3 or 4 different ones, and I just rotate them out. So what I'm carrying with me today is the top, and I label them. That way, if one of them goes out on me or I wear it out, it's easy for me to look up exactly what it is to order another one. So currently I'm carrying the Toxic Orange and the Black Venom. I like both of these. The Toxic Orange is, to me, it's a lot easier to use. I can do a lot more things with it. It doesn't have the best sound quality, especially compared to the Black Venom, but it's a lot easier to blow and to use. In this pocket, these pockets are huge. You'd have to see them to understand. I carry a pair of sunglasses because sometimes I do find myself hunting midday in a kind of a bright lit over a field or whatever, and I like to have the sunglasses to add that, just kind of give some eye relief, but also add contrast. These are polarized Costas. I bought them off Sierra Trading Post for like 75% off. Check it out if you're looking for sunglasses. And I also keep my snacks. So this is just a jalapeno meat stick and a protein bar. I just keep these shoved down in this pouch so they're really easy for me to get to. As far as the back goes, now this sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. There's a pulley right there, so oh, it's stuck right now. Sometimes it comes right off. There it is. So if I'm walking through the woods and I got my fanny pack on and I'm going to sit down for a good amount of time, I'll just unzip it from there and I have it in my hand. Usually I keep my water bottle right here. Obviously it's not in there right now. This pouch right here, which is made for a rangefinder, I believe, I actually keep my headlamp in there just in case. Any tags or permits that I'm carrying, if I'm hunting public land, I stick them down in this front right here, along with tape measure. You do have to tag. You've got to tag your animal, your turkey in Tennessee now before you move it. So I have the tape measure to take all those necessary measurements there. In the main body here, what I'm carrying here is, first of all, I carry another lens with me. My primary lens that I'm recording with whenever I'm turkey hunting is a Nikon 30mm prime f1.8. That just allows me to get some real creative shots, but I can also do some interviews with it because it's not too long of a focal length. This is a Nikon AFS 70-300. This is what I use for a lot of my hunting, the actual hunting footage itself. So low light conditions, I can use the 30mm 1.8 because I can open it up really wide. I can take in as much available light as I can. But once it's midday, or got plenty of sunlight out, I'll switch over to this lens because this allows me to zoom right in on, the nostrils of the deer or the turkey or whatever. So that's what I'm carrying that in my big pack. Hand wipes, butt wipes, whatever you want to call them. This is just an old pack of dead downwind that had dried out, and I just put a little bit of water in it, sealed it back up, and they're good to go again. And then I think on the previous video I did with my Tennessee turkey that I shot, I showed this. This is actually a small game tote that I got at the NWTF convention, but it works fantastic for turkeys as well. So I'll just loop one of these around the head, just pull it through. There it is, put the head in it. The other side, I'll put one loop on each foot, and you can just sling it over your shoulder and carry it out, or you can actually use it like a sling in that manner. So I'll do that. The last things I've got here are, let's do this side first, I think. I can't remember. So in this side here, I carry extra batteries. So I have extra batteries for my DSLR, and I have a battery pack, one of those USB battery packs that I can use to charge my phone with or my GoPro with. So I'll keep the cables and cords and all that right here where I can just get to it easily. And lastly, this pocket here. You never go turkey hunting without a way to collect mushrooms. Whether that be morel mushrooms, which is what most people are going to target this time of year. In my case, though, my kids love oyster mushrooms. And there's always oyster mushrooms growing this time of year. So I'll keep myself a mesh bag and just a knife to cut me off a mushroom if I find them. Also, the other day I ran into a really good set or patch of dryad saddle, pheasant back. And so this came in real handy. So I was able to just take that, cut it right off. It's actually in here on the stovetop right now, reducing down in a stock that I'm working on. So I've got that going. Trying to think if there's anything else. Well, I've got a couple decoys. Sometimes I'll carry decoys. I normally don't like messing with it unless I'm going with my son or someone else and we can split the load, because by the time I carry the camera gear and if I'm taking this Primo's blind, that begins to take up a lot of room. So the decoys I've got a couple of avian-x hen decoys, and then I've got a Dave Smith quarter strut Jake. It's a pretty heavy one. It's a solid body. It's not an inflatable one like the avian-x. But anyway, that's my gear. Clothing, I'm not even going to go into clothing. I've got so many different setups for clothing. Obviously, I'm wearing my Sitka open country pants. This is what I've wore for the most part early in the year this year because it does tend to be a little bit more wind resistant than my First Light Obsidians that I have. But I've got plenty of other clothing, and that's usually my biggest struggle, is trying to figure out what clothes to wear when I go. I haven't had a problem with turkeys busting me in this pattern. Everyone out there seems to like to use the Mossy Oak Obsession or the Greenleaf or whatever. I haven't ever had a problem really with turkeys busting me in any of the other patterns either. I mean, I can run open country, I can run the original Sitka elevated forest, I can use the elevated 2, subalpine, First Light Fusion, the Mossy Oak open country, the Mossy Oak breakup. I mix and match all of it. And most of the time when you see me on a video, I'm not going to be matching anyway. So anyway, that's pretty much what I've got. In my drink bottle, I always have a bottle full of Mountain Ops Ignite with me. It just really gives me a lot of an energy boost, helps keep me awake when I'm out there, because sometimes on some of these mornings when it starts to warm up, you got up pretty early, you can start to nod off. That Mountain Ops Ignite, I mean, it hits you with a jolt of energy, and it sustains me throughout the morning. So I'll always have a Mountain Ops Ignite with me, whether it be a cold Ignite or their hot Ignite, one or the other. So anyway, that's my gear. I think I've got everything. I think I've covered everything. Hope you enjoy and have a fantastic turkey season. God bless.